Hello, welcome. Today we're going to change the cracked fuel line on my Stihl MS250 chainsaw. We're going to show you how to do that. And I bought this kit off of Amazon. I'll throw a link in the description. It's got your, this is the new fuel line, fuel filter, oil screen, whatever you want to call it. It's not much of a filter. I think this is the oil line for your bar oil. Got a new gasket for your airbox and your carburetor. Comes with a new spark plug. What else is in here? Comes with a new carburetor, it looks like. There's nothing wrong with my carburetor, but I guess I'll hang on to it for just in case. Looks like a new airbox and an air filter. And then this piece here I don't recognize. That might be what connects. No, I don't recognize this piece. I guess I've never had it that far apart. Okay. Let's go ahead and take this thing apart and get started. Quick start, and I've already done this. Drain your fuel out of your tank. A little less messy if you do it that way. Sorry about the bouncing camera. Let's get lots of likes, some more subscribers, and if you really want to help the channel out, use the Amazon links in the description. Most of my videos have Amazon links in the description. They're affiliate links, so I get a small percentage if you go through that link and buy something on Amazon. I don't think you necessarily have to buy what I link to, but if you use that link to get to Amazon and then make a purchase, I get some of that back. And it doesn't cost you anything extra to do that, it just helps the channel. I'd really like to buy better camera equipment, and I'm in desperate need of good lighting. Alright, so take this apart. I believe you want to take this and put it on full choke to get that out of your way. Sorry about the bouncing, that's going to drive me nuts. And then you turn that counterclockwise, and this should lift off like that. Set that aside. And I think next we need to get the carburetor off to get room to get to this fuel line, I believe. So let's do that. Oh, also I'm going to use this little hook tool. You could, can you see that? Maybe. I got this whenever I did this the first time, I believe, is what I have this left over from. Really helps. Really helps. So find you one of those, or if I find a kit on Amazon, maybe I'll link the one I used, and also if I can find a kit on Amazon that includes this, maybe I'll link that one too. And you don't have to get this full kit either. You can buy just this fuel line with the filter, because it's very common to crack. Okay, to start with, we need to take these linkages apart. So you have your throttle linkage there from your trigger. Just squeeze the trigger, and that'll pop out where you can get under it. Take a screwdriver or a pair of pliers or something and just pop that out of there. It just clicks in. Try not to break anything, but that's all it takes. Just gotta pop it out. That, and if it unhooks from the carburetor, it's no big deal. You can put it back on. So that one's out of the way. Also, we have, this is your choke linkage over here, full choke, and then I don't remember if that's like a half choke or just holds. See, the half choke or just holds the throttle open. I don't remember which. It's also got your kill switch or kill wire for your kill switch right there. So we'll undo that linkage. You can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to move that throttle lever to where this all lines up a little better. Push that linkage back towards the front of the saw. And it should come right up out of there, just like that. So you'll use your fingers or pliers or something. Move your throttle linkage to where it lines up enough that you can get that little hook out of there, and it'll pull just straight out. Set that aside, don't lose it. Now as the linkages are off of it, we can remove the carburetor. And if you can see, you probably can't see. You probably can't see because I can't see it in the camera. Right underneath this air box, you can see where this hose comes up and then 90s and goes around and plugs in the carburetor on the left-hand side of the saw. You'll see it better when we get the carburetor loose. So it's just a 5/16 socket using a 1/4-inch ratchet. Can you see, hopefully? And there's 2 nuts you're going to take off, and then the carburetor and airbox all slide off those studs. Let's go ahead and take them loose. One's loose. Set those aside. Okay, now we'll pull our airbox off. And then, you can really see now. Alright, let's go ahead and pull that fuel line off of there. Just got these little, I don't know what you call these. They're nice to have though for little stuff like this. Little needle nose, curved. Forceps maybe? I don't know. They're nice. I'll find these and link those on Amazon as well. Just like a screw cover deal. This right here. It still gives you access to your idle adjustment and your wide open fuel set screw, mixture screw, whatever it is. And then this is a breather for your fuel tank. If you can see that, the hose comes from it back down to your fuel tank. Let's just move this out of the way. Pull it off there if you want, I guess. I'll move this neighbor's dogs. Move the fuel line, and you can pull this carburetor out. Okay. You have this little plate here. There's that other rubber piece, I guess. Goes right here. I guess it's your intake from your carburetor to your cylinder. Okay. I don't think I'm going to replace that right now. Fuel hose comes up through there. Get this out, you're going to take the fuel cap off. This has the little quick deals. So I'm going to take our little wire hook tool and catch that fuel line and pull the end out through the opening here. So we're going to pull the old fuel line out through the fuel tank the rest of the way. I'm changing this fuel line so I'm not worried about tearing it up. It would almost be easier to pull the filter off first, I think. Or if it comes off, you can just there. The fuel filter fell off. No big deal. Now that I've got a hold of it, I'm going to pull here and push from the other side and push that fuel line back down into the tank. Sorry about that. Don't know if you can see this or not. Hopefully you can. But you'll see, well, here. You can see this kind of built-in grommet on this fuel line. But anyway, this built-in grommet on this fuel line that width right there, that groove, that snaps it into the tank and holds it in place. Alright, so once you're ready to put this fuel line back in, you take your fuel line, see how it's got that pre-bent 90 in it, or molded 90? See what I'm talking about? And then also on the top of the bushing, there's that flat part. You want to feed this in from the top, so feed it in from here into the tank. And this flat part, that molded bushing, needs to face the left side of the saw. That way whenever you have this in the tank, this lays flat on the bottom and is over here on the right side of the tank. So when the saw is over on its side, that's where most of the fuel is going to be. So you want this to lay flat on the bottom, and it's going to be over on the right side of the tank whenever it lays on its side. So yeah, put the flat spot, if you can see that. The flat spot of that bushing faces the left side of the saw. And this part, this ribbed or corrugated part, this is on the top part of the saw. The molded 90 goes inside the fuel tank. Alright, let's go ahead and put this in. And I apologize again for the lighting, I know it's terrible. Use my Amazon links, buy some stuff over on Amazon. Maybe I can afford to buy some lighting for these videos. Oh, helpful tip. Take a little of your 2-cycle oil and just rub just a little bit onto this bushing. Just help to lube it so it pops in there easier. Just do it on this bottom part here, the part that's beveled to slip into the tank. You can see that. Just put a little bit on there. So let me grab some 2-stroke oil. Alright, so I'm going to feed this in here. And then before I snap it in, I guess it doesn't matter before or after. We'll still have to put the fuel filter on it, but alright, so once you get it down in there, make sure your flat side of that bushing is, or that, yeah, flat side of that bushing or grommet is pointing to the left side of the saw. We'll turn the saw to its side. Reach down in there with our forceps or whatever you have to grab that fuel line. Don't tear it, just bring it up enough where you can grab a hold of it with your hand. So help pull it down into place. I'm going to set the saw upright again. And while I'm pulling on it with my left hand, I'm going to use my bar tool to help kind of press it down into place. You just got to get that first part of that grommet snapped in there. And if you're not careful, you'll pull it the whole way through. Like that. I pulled it all the way through. So now I gotta pull it back out. Part of it's out. Just gonna work it a little bit at a time. And actually, I think I got it already. I got it oriented the way I want it. Now I just got to pull the end out and put my fuel filter back on. Our new filter. Drops into the tank where it needs to be. Now we can start putting our carburetor back on. This little plate here, I'm just going to put this back in. Put that plate back on first. I'm going to take the carburetor. Your two adjusters go on top. These are on the top of the carburetor. And see your fuel line comes in bottom left side, if you can see that. That's that little barb fitting that fuel line pushes onto. Oh, helpful tip, put a little bit of grease onto this barb here. Don't put it near the tip where it might get into the carburetor, but put it just on the back part of this barb. So you put your fuel line on, it makes a nice tight seal there. Because the vacuum carburetor is not going to suck that grease through. But if this rubber isn't really tight on there, then you'll get air pockets and it just doesn't run very well. So we'll get this guy back on there. Kind of tuck that fuel line out of the way so we don't damage it. Putting the carburetor back in place. Just be gentle. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and push this fuel line onto the barb on the carburetor. Okay. Now that that's in place, go ahead and put your air box back on. I'm gonna change my air filter real quick. So to do that, you just see these tabs. Use your fingers and pop them out of there. Or if that turns into a struggle like that just did, you can take your tool, just pop it off of there. Most of the time I just blow this out, but since I have a new, most of the time I just blow the air filter out, but since I have a new one, I'm going to use it. And I'll just go ahead and use the new air box and everything that it came with. Not that I need it, but I'm going to use it. Okay. So now that's in place, you can go ahead and put these nuts back on the studs that hold everything together. Get that one started. And this, well, I'm going to take it back apart so you can see it. Because I forgot a step. Before you put your air box on, take your breather for your fuel tank and the screw cover and snap it back into this holder back here. Can you see that? There's a holder for this line. It just snaps in. Slide your carburetor to you a little bit. And this only goes on one way. You can see the holes are sized to fit the 3 screws. Put that all in place. Now you can take your airbox and filter and slide back on. And don't think we're done just because I'm putting this back together, because we are not. You You also notice I didn't change the spark plug. The saw doesn't have a whole lot of runtime on that spark plug. I think it's fine. If I feel like I have issues with it, I'll pull it out and change it. But all you do is, once you pull this airbox off, it's really easy to get that spark plug boot, spark plug out. It's right behind the airbox. Let's go ahead and put the linkages back together. Let's start with our choke linkage, I guess is what it's called. We'll start with our choke linkage. So the way this goes, from left to right, take this piece, it snaps down in here right below your kill switch wire. Maybe you can see where I'm going with this. There's a hole right below this wire. Here's the wire. Right below it, there's a hole this pushes into. Start that in there, and then take something and move your throttle linkage out. Not throttle. It isn't throttle. Your choke, this is your butterfly for your choke. My fingers are probably in the way of all that, but I just positioned the plate, or this little or I positioned the lever like that, and we popped our wire back in there. Yep, not too bad. And then our throttle is on the other side, so let me turn this around. So now we're on the right side of the saw. And this would have been easier to do to start whenever the carburetor was out. But you're going to take, it goes in place like this. You're going to take this, hook it to your throttle control lever back in there. Like I said, hook this end up before you put everything back together like this. It'd make your life easier. But I'm not pulling it apart again. Alright. This can takes a while. It's not a safety can because I can't stand them. All they're good is for spilling fuel. But I did not put a vent in this whenever I changed the spout out. And I really like it for this stuff. For a little two-stroke stuff, because you don't need to go through a whole lot of fuel very quickly, at least in my experience. Put the vent in there, it's going to dump it out fast. I'm okay with this taking a little more time to fill. Alright, so now we're full of fuel. I don't know, let's start it up, see how she runs. If it wasn't full of bar oil, I could dump it out. But if it wasn't full of bar oil, I'm not going to. I would go ahead and replace that intake screen for the oil as well. But looking at it, you shouldn't need to replace it. If you can get to it and get it out of there, you could probably just clean it with some, say, carburetor cleaner or something like that.